cats old enough to catch their own prey gather here beneath the podcast for a clan meeting. Welcome to Paws and Claws, a podcast where we read the Warrior Cats books in chronological order. I'm Scout, joined by my co-host and all-time favorite two-leg Jill, and today it is our first episode where we will be discussing Dawn of the Clans, Book 1, The Sun Trail. Jillian, hello.
Hello, Scout. I'm delighted today that this is finally happening.
We're doing it. It's the thing. So the thing is that we always were like, oh, it's just a bit. We're going to do Warrior Cats podcast. But the thing is that deep in my heart, I always knew that this day would come.
Yeah, I mean, same here. It's been a many-year journey. And after all of our friends have started committing very hard to the bit, we said, well, we can't be the only ones not committing to the bit.
We have to commit to the bit. We can't be left out.
Exactly. Gotta commit to the bit. So, Scout, I would love for us to talk about, since this is our first episode, because, Warriors is a kids series, I would just love to know, your childhood experience with the book series.
My childhood experience is, I think it's possibly similar to a quintessential Warriors child experience. I don't remember why I decided to pick it up off of the shelf at the library. I'm sure that it's because I saw that there was a cat on it and I thought that looked cool. But the Warrior Cats books did take over my life for a certain period of time. And there was a time in my childhood where I lived on a mountain in New Hampshire, and I would go outside and solo roleplay my entire Warrior Cats fan cat clan. Like all my Warrior Cats OCs.
That is perfect. Wow. The commitment there is astounding, I will say.
Yeah, I would just go out there and I'm like, I'm every cat.
I'm all
Doesn't matter. I'm all the cats.
Forget I'm every woman. I am every cat. Dropping this ball by Scout.
What about you? Tell me about your story.
I mean, similarly, I've always been a very large fan of cats, obviously. And growing up as a person who was a big fan of cats and who had a lot of friends who were also very big fans of cats, I don't remember if it was I was at the bookstore and I saw it, or I was at the school library and I saw it, but I was like, oh my god, a book about cats, because I'd already been reading, Redwall and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And very quickly it consumed the lives of me and all of my elementary school friends.
Yes.
I was the only one who owned the first book, so instead of them going to the library, they all borrowed my copy.
Your illicit Warrior Cats trading.
Right. So they all borrowed my copy. I still have that copy of the book. It is very well loved.
I love that.
But I will talk more about it when we get eventually to Into the Wild. And then, I was also a Neopets kid, and me and all my friends were Neopets kids, and we had a Neopets guild where we roleplayed warriors.
Yes!
And then I kept doing that all the way through, the better part of, all of middle school and the first year or two of high school. I would roleplay warriors online and write fan fiction and put it online. And that's pretty much what I did for a long time.
It's very important.
It is very important. It's a very crucial core part of who I am. It influenced a lot of the way I interact with media to this day.
Yeah, I feel like it did for me too, because I was so unplugged at that point in my life when I was originally reading it. I think it did so in a different way for me than you, but very much the depth of the excitement I feel when I see a family tree in fiction.
Oh my god, right?
It came from this. It came from Warrior Cats.
I would just obsessively look over the comparisons of the allegiances between books. Even though I'd read them and I knew what happened, I was
You just like to see the way that the cats change and the way everything changes.
Obsessed. I would straight up make up entire clans. I would not do anything except just make allegiances for what I imagined happened. I would not write anything down except for the lists of how it would change from season to season. I'm like, this is psycho behavior.
See, I would write all the allegiances, but then those were just all of the cats that I role played barefoot outside in the backyard.
I mean, you know what? That's fair too. So, yeah, the books have been out for years.
Mm-hmm.
This book that we're talking about actually is 10 years old as of the day that we're recording this.
I still can't believe this.
Yeah.
As you said, StarClan guided us here today.
Which, frankly, the fact that the book that we're talking about is, like, part of the 5th series and is 10 years old is truly astounding to me.
It's terrifying kind of how old these books actually are. Like because I think when we were originally like beginning to read them, at least for me, it was like mid 2000s, and so some of them had been out already for a period of time.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out let me look up when the first one actually came out.
I want to say in my head that the first one is like 2001, but
2003.
2003, okay.
Which actually, like, I feel like I was in it as the first series was coming out.
Yeah, I feel like I must have started like mid-second series, but I'm not sure. They come out so fast.
They do.
That it's really impossible for me to know. I'll get to this, probably something I'll mention later when we go to the Erin Corner. It's a little preview for all of you folks out there listening to the first episode of the podcast.
Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm. Should we get into it? Should I give us a little summary here?
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, give us a summary. So, again, we are doing this in chronological order. The Sun Trail is not the first book in the series, but it is the first book in the timeline of the Warrior Cats lore.
Mm-hmm. The Laurier Cats.
The Laurier Cats. Oh, that's a good name. But yes, so Dawn of the Clans is 10 years old. Into the Wild, the actual first book published, is 20 years old. Shit's wild.
Shit's wild. Yeah.
Please give us a summary of this book.
Yeah. This is our little summary for the Sun Trail. In a cave, in a mountain, in the fictionalized countryside of England, a tribal society of cats works together to survive the harsh winter that threatens their way of life. At the urging of their spiritual leader, a contingency of cats leaves the mountains, embarking on a journey to find the prophesized new territory of moorland and forest. This trek is long, hard, and sees several casualties, but most of the group finds its way to this promised land and begins the arduous task of settling there without making the pre-existing residents too angry. Both the new and old resident cats of this area continue to debate what the right choices are for their communities, but that primarily becomes backdrop to the story of two brothers who both like the same girl. The brothers grow further apart in their struggle for love, but in the end, neither of them get her because she is unceremoniously killed off, leaving the better brother to raise his nephew, her one surviving son, in her stead, so the plot for book 2 is properly set up.
Don't we love it?
We love it. You could probably tell from just that summary that
there's definitely no bias in the summary about like what happens in the book here.
We've got some things to say. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, Scout, I got a big question for you.
Yeah, what's the question?
How's the Prey running?
How is the Prey running?
So welcome, everyone. This is a little segment we call How's the Prey Running? It is nonsense, goofs, a little bit of levity before we get into our big in-depth discussion of the book. The first thing I want to bring up is, hey, if you have never gone onto the internet and looked up Warrior Cats covers, please do. They fucking rip.
They're so good.
They're so good. Like, this series has no right to have covers as good as these. And especially the Polish covers.
The Polish covers are insane.
The Polish covers are so good. I found the Polish cover while I was searching on Tumblr for this book in particular, and it is just the most majestic profile of a cat in front of a sunset, and then you got all the littler cats walking around on the bottom there. You know, I have a lot of opinions on the way that they've changed The covers from the original printings that we had when we were kids.
Yeah, the reprints, I have thoughts about those as well.
We have thoughts and feelings. We'll talk about it some other time because that is a whole podcast in itself. But we, as much as I brag on those, like the Polish covers do a really good job of giving us that big profile while also giving us a cover that is indicative of the story.
From the perspective of a professional artist who does this for a living, with these Polish covers, it is a painting of the cat, whereas with the newer series re-release covers for series 1 and 2, etc., it's a lot more like an airbrushed photo of a cat.
Yeah.
And I see that they're going for a specific style there, but I just feel like this is so much more impactful and so much more considered. And I think part of that also has to do with what quote unquote sells for book covers right now, because
that's very possible. Yeah,
photorealism and sort of this idea of it being a photograph or something that could be quote unquote taken for a photograph upon first glance is a thing just in books in general that I could talk about a lot, but that's neither here nor there. This Polish cover fucks.
Yeah. The other fun thing that we have here is so the official Warrior Cats website, which is wildly different than it was when I was young and on the internet. They have some fun little quizzes.
Quiz time.
Yeah, so I think before we get started on our discussion, there is a quiz for every single book. So I think Scout and I are going to take a quiz, and we're going to see who knows this book better than the other.
Oh, let's go. Let's do it.
All right.
Oh yeah, I got 6 out of 6, baby.
Oh my god, me too. Praise StarClan is what it says when you succeed.
That's right, it does. I didn't even notice.
So yes, you can rest assured, dear listeners, that both Scout and I know what we're talking about. We both
know
got
what we're
6
talking
out of
about.
6 questions correct.
You could say we're professionals at this.
Yeah, you could say that. Now, Scout recently, over the past couple years during COVID and everything, you reread most of the original series.
Yes.
Or most of the other published series. You've going into this particular one blind.
Yeah, at the time I had skipped it because going back to what I said earlier about being obsessed with the family trees and stuff, I said, well, I don't want to learn about a whole new bunch of cats that I don't know when I know that the next series after this is going to be a continuation of the stories of the cats that I do know. And so I just sort of went over it for that time being, but it ended up working out really well because now we're doing this in chronological order and we both get to experience this series for the first time.
Yes. I have not read the books since, probably high school. However, being what it is, being the fact that this series was such a critical and important touchstone for me growing up, I do remember a lot. So I just want to give our listeners a warning. We may be discussing things that have relevance to future books that we have not discussed yet. We will try not to do too many big spoilers, but due to the nature of this book in particular, I think there are some things that are going to get spoiled for you. Mm-hmm. So if you are not interested in that, then go ahead and skip forward a bit. Maybe go to the Erin Corner and hang out there for us and wait for us to show up, because we got some stuff to talk about.
We do. I know that you wrote to me this morning saying you had many thoughts, so I'm gonna throw to you. Thoughts. Give me the lowdown. What are you feeling here right at the beginning?
So the first thing I want to talk about, we've got our protagonist and narrator, Grey Wing. I hate this man.
Oh, you don't like him?
I hate him. He's so whiny. He's so passive. He does not care. He's just I guess I'll just go along with whatever. I have my opinions, but I'm not going to voice them. He's like a little wet blanket to me.
He is. He is.
He is so
when the book
pathetic.
When the book first started, I had a lot of, I was like, I like that he's a reluctant hero. He doesn't want to do this. But then as it went on, he continued to just be reluctant.
Yeah, there has been no growth for this man over the course of this book, which, I will give it to the Warrior series. They tend not to have a lot of growth for a main character in just one book. It tends to be throughout the 6-book series. However, I'm very, he just is so wishy-washy and so non-confrontational. He just lets everybody, step all over him, basically.
He's extremely passive, you're right, yeah. And I think there is a bit of poor little meow meow in there.
There is.
Which, me, Scout, personally, I have to hold my poor little meow meows and pet their little wet heads in the rain.
Yes.
But I can absolutely also, yes, he's insufferable at points.
He is kind of a toxic masculinity king, too.
That's true,
He's very I know better than these women, and they should listen to me because I know better than them. But he does not show that he actually knows better than any of the women that he is talking about.
No, that's true. Yeah. There's just a lot. The last third of this book, I feel like he goes through a real, it's a big line of losses. He's taking so many L's.
Yeah, he's taking so many L's. Our man Greywing is, oh boy, he takes a lot of losses.
He really does. I'm just thinking about things.
Please, do say.
I'm thinking about stuff that happens later in the book. I'm just gonna say, Turtletail, get out of there, babe. You don't come back.
God, right? Please,
don't come back.
I hope she stays with the humans.
Turtletail, just please be a lesbian with Bumble and don't.
Exactly.
Do not be involved.
They have huge lesbian energy.
They're lesbians.
They are so. Again, coming to it as an adult, coming to it as somebody who has come to learn more about sexuality and accept my sexuality and things like that. I don't know if it is just that I read more deeply into relationships that could be perceived as queer, or if hey, maybe Bumble and Turtletail are lesbians. I mean, when I was a kid, I definitely had some thoughts about Ravenpaw. So, I was like, that boy is gay, and I really believe that.
I mean, I think that this could just be maybe it is just a side effect of writing for a younger audience, and so feelings are so much bigger in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's very true.
Or maybe it's because of the way that they characterize the cats, that the cats' feelings are just really but I don't know.
There's a lot of big feelings in this book.
There's a lot of homoerotic subtext in the series overall. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
That is so true. Well, and so I'll get to this later, but we're not the only ones picking up on the homoerotic subtext.
No,
so
you're right.
Write that down, readers.
Put a pin in that.
We're going to come back to that later in this episode and in probably every single episode going on.
Every single one. Everyone. We're going to have our queer rep, our queer cats.
So, yes, Greywing, I'm waiting to warm up to him. I don't.
Yeah, I think he came out of he came out of the gate really strong and just flagged. Really tanked, because I liked the stuff in the beginning where there was a lot of but I really love the mountains. I don't want to leave my home.
Yeah, he's like, I really want to. I'll just go drop Jagged Peak off and then I'll come back home to my family. And then it's well, my mom wants me to go and protect my brothers, and I should do that because family is important. And so, there is, he has at the very beginning just a very incredible internal conflict, which I love. An internal conflict.
Because internal conflict in these books in the beginning usually,
oh my god, it's so good.
And a lot of the books don't really have that outside of I need everybody to believe in me, that I'm really good at what I'm doing, which is also can be really fun. But I was really intrigued by Greywing at the beginning of this book because it was so different from the more traditional, as we get further in the series, you kind of have an apprentice, you have a young cat who wants to prove themselves.
Yes.
And become like a full-fledged member of the clan, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, this
very much different because a lot of them are very much coming of age stories. And this one does not feel like a coming of age story. This one feels like a young adult figuring out what he wants, like how he wants to be in the world. Like he's grown up. He knows or thinks he knows where he belongs, but he's gotta make these changes. So yeah, I agree. I was very, very compelled by him at the start. I love a pair of brothers with some drama, but you know, literally like halfway through, my notes went from, oh, okay, interesting, drama, love that. My notes went from that to Grey Wing is obnoxious. So, you know.
Still, I will give it to him though. He takes a lot of L's in the second half. I still think he's better than Clear Sky.
Oh my god, 100%. They're definitely
Fuck
setting
Clear
up...
Sky. All my homies hate Clear Sky.
Clear Sky is 100% going to be the villain.
He's atrocious.
He's so bad. And his change is like 0 to 100 so fast.
It's so
like
weird.
I have a lot of thoughts about Clear Sky. So Clear Sky is Grey Wing's brother. When they start off, you know, he is like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna leave. And he's like kind of manipulating his girlfriend to go with him. He's like, we really should leave so that, you know, when we have kids, they can like have a safe and like a home where there's plenty for people to eat and there's plenty of safety. And like, I want our kids to have a better life than we have, which I can respect.
Yeah.
I don't respect the way that he like passive aggressively manipulated Brightstream into going with him, but you know, I can respect that he wants a better life for the people that he cares about. I can respect that. And you know, he loses Brightstream, which we'll talk about in a second.
Oh, yeah.
He loses Brightstream. He like I don't know why he seems like, I don't know if I just misread or like, I just could not understand why there was such a sudden, like, I don't want to be with my brother anymore. I don't want to be with these fools anymore. I want to go be off on my own. Like,
it's like a grieving period.
Yeah,
but...
and that's exactly what I'm saying is like, I can understand he's like going through a lot. He's like in this survival mode, even though he doesn't have to be. You know, like, they have plenty of food now, but he's still like, no, we need to make sure that, like, we're never gonna be hungry again. And we need to make sure that we are protected as hell. And, like, I can understand that, but it does not justify the things that he does.
No. He really said, my girlfriend died, and now I need us to live in a police state.
Exactly.
He really said that.
Literally. Like, that's a literal quote from the book.
It might as well be.
It might as well be. Oh my goodness. Okay, since we're going to be mentioning it a lot, let's talk about fridging.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Oh god.
I would say that these books, in a broad sense, across the entire series, the whole franchise, has a problem with its women.
I mean, it was written in the early 2000s, like, and it hasn't necessarily matured much beyond that, I feel, with regards to subject matter.
It is really living in the genre of women die to fuel protagonist grief and emotional growth and like plot relevance.
Yeah.
I mean, with this one, we came out the gate really strong again. Like, they really just went right for it. The one daughter of this family. The one daughter of this family is gonna die. Hey, side note, did Jagged Peak fucking accidentally kill his sister? Because that was kind of the vibe that I got. He was playing with her. There's a scene where
you're right.
He's playing with her and he like sweeps her legs and she falls and hits her head on a rock. I think that he might have accidentally caused his sister's death.
I think it was definitely exertion from the play. Like they keep saying that the reason she died is they didn't have enough food, which is probably true because like all of those cats were fucking malnourished.
Those cats were so starving.
They were so hungry. So, like, you know, that definitely made her weaker. But I think, you know, Jagged Peak is kind of a reckless character. I would not blame anyone for putting some of the blame on him because he does not think before he does anything.
He doesn't. That boy really said no thoughts.
And not in the good way.
Yeah. He's not a himbo. He's just a child.
Yeah, but yes, Fluttering Bird, Rip Queen, Fly High.
Fly High, Fluttering Bird. The scene of her death was actually, like, I think one of the emotional, like, as far as writing goes, one of the emotional peaks of the story.
I agree. I think it was very well done. Like, you know, there's no problem with characters dying.
Exactly.
To feel growth. It's when it is only the female characters or mostly the female characters.
And it just keeps happening.
And it just keeps happening.
Because like 50 pages later, after we lose Fluttering Bird,
right,
we also lose Bright Stream.
But yeah, so I think, like, you know, if it were just Fluttering Bird, I think that would have been a really, really good use of a character death because that is the proof that they need to leave. Like, the younger generation is not going to survive, and I think that is one way to show it for sure. But it is especially noted that all of the female cats that die are important to our protagonist in some way.
Yes.
Because there are a total of 5 deaths in this book, I believe. Well, not including the other 2 kits. So 7, I guess. Because 2 of Storm's kits die.
Storm's kits, yeah.
3 of these deaths are women who are related in some way to Grey Wing, our protagonist.
Yes.
The other 2 named deaths are male cats. One of them is at Grey Wing's hands at the end, or closer to the end of the book, and the other one is our leader of the traveling group who's killed.
Pour one out.
God, I was pulling for him. Shaded Moss,
Shaded Moss.
He was so good.
He was just genuinely a good guy.
Yeah, so he was the leader of the group that was traveling. He was smart. He was thoughtful. He was making sure everybody was staying protected and safe. And then he dies, and that is what kind of is able to get this dissolution of the group and everybody kind of splitting off and going their different ways.
Yeah, without him, they don't have their, like, center. They don't have their rock.
Exactly. They don't have
and so it
guide.
Does become, yeah, even when his daughter does end up sort of taking his place as leader in the group, it's not as strong of a lead of like a coalition anymore, which eventually leads to Clear Sky breaking off and forming his group.
Yeah. Bright Stream is our second cat who dies in this book. She is Clear Sky's girlfriend at the start. Grey Wing kind of has a crush on her.
Grey Wing has a crush on her.
Oh my god, we're doing this again. It's a very common thing in these books for siblings to both have crushes on the same cat.
You know, you're right.
And for that to be like a point of falling out. Is a very common trope in this series for siblings to both have romantic inclinations towards another cat, and that to be like a reason that said siblings don't get along. But Bright Stream doesn't, like, there's a couple moments where it's like, well, maybe she feels the same way to Grey Wing, but like she definitely seems more into Clear Sky.
Yeah, I almost, in some instances, I almost got this feeling that she wasn't really into either of them.
Yeah, she was just kind of like, oh, whatever. They're nice to me.
I kind of feel like with Clear Sky, it's like, I feel like Clear Sky has the animal magnetism. I don't know why, but girls just keep going for Clear Sky. And I'm like, I don't know what you see in him.
This guy has got Riz. Apparently.
This man is pulling.
Yeah, so Bright Stream is, she goes with them on the journey. Turns out, just before they leave, they find out that she is expecting Clear Sky's children, and Clear Sky has a bit of a crisis over that. He's like, oh gosh, it's gonna be so dangerous, but she's like, no, we need to, because, you know, we have to make sure that the life is better. And he's like, you're right, just like, be careful. And she's the only one who dies before they
leave the mountains.
Yeah, she's
before,
the only one who dies the
day.
entire journey. Like, Shaded Moss doesn't even die until they reach where they're going to live.
Nearly at the moors. Yeah,
exactly.
Really.
Brightstream is the only one who dies. She gets carried off by an eagle, saving Greywing, which of course Greywing blames himself for like 10 whole goddamn chapters.
For so long, he blames himself, and he thinks that his brother blames him.
Yeah, he thinks his brother blames him, but he does not talk about it at all. He's like, I should talk to my brother about this, but I'm not going to. Mm-hmm. And that's for 10 chapters.
I just can't do it yet.
Then he finally talks to him, and Clear Sky's like, no, dude, I don't blame you. I blame myself. I should never have made her do that. Like, this is my fault. So, yes, Brightstream is our second cat today. Secondly, side note, don't get attached to any cat with stream in their name in this book series, because they will die, and it will be an unfair death for them. And then we've got Storm. Storm confused me as a character, I will say.
Storm really confused me too. Again, I think this comes down to that they just they think that Clear Sky's really fucking hot.
It's gotta be, because she is very clearly expressing interest in Greywing.
Yeah,
like they are hanging out together. They're like
to back up just for a second.
Oh, yes,
Storm is a cat from who was living in the forest that the mountain cats end up settling in, and she befriends Greywing, and they're hanging out and they're vibing.
They are. He's like got this huge crush on her. She's kind of like got a little something back for him. And then she meets Clear Sky, and all of a sudden she's like, I don't want to hang out with Greywing anymore. I gotta hang out with Clear Sky.
It is 0 to 100.
Literally, it's like one chapter they're hanging out, Greywing and Storm, and they're having a great time, and then the literal next chapter he's like, I thought we were gonna hang out. She's like, yeah, totally. I'll call you. Does not call.
She literally just looked into Clear Sky's eyes and said, I can't not fuck him.
Exactly. Like, she gets pregnant so quick.
So fast.
It's
she gets pregnant.
Immediately after she moves in with them, she is pregnant.
It's
like, stupid.
It was such a roller coaster also, because like I know that you have something in your notes here about how that it only takes them like half of a book to get. Oh my god,
the pacing in this book is abysmal. I just gotta say it.
The pacing of this book is bananas.
It's wild.
It's so weird. I feel like it took us forever to get out of the mountains, and then the travel was really pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then we got there.
And I'm not sure what the time frame is, because, and I put this in my notes, I was like, so chapters 19 and 20 is just like the wildest sudden change in attitude towards the cats from the tribe. Because it's like, up until that point, rogues, the cats that lived in the moors already, were nothing but like hostile at worst.
Neutral mostly.
Neutral at best. Mm-hmm. And then in chapter 19 and 20, Gorse and Wind are like, Greywing, what's up? We love you, bud. And it's like, what the hell? When did this happen?
There was the scene where they like where like she was Wind was teaching him how to was that in that chapter?
Yeah,
was that like the first time?
That was in that chapter.
That is weird.
The pacing is so wild. It's like there was a month that they just left out, is what it feels like.
And there's a lot of weird skips that you can see in the writing. It says like, you know, it's been 2 moons since I saw Storm or whatever, and it's like, when did 2 months pass?
Yeah, like
it's the same paragraph.
It is the same. And it's so I read very quickly, and so when in the time shifts are that quick and like unnoticeable, they do not register in my brain.
Right.
But yeah, the timing and pacing in this is so weird. Storm gets pregnant immediately after moving in with Clear Sky. And then almost also immediately, Clear Sky starts showing his real colors, kicks out Jagged Peak because he broke his leg.
That was also a really weird scene.
Yeah.
That it was happening sort of in the background. It felt like it was going to be something so inconsequential, and it ended up being very consequential.
Yeah.
I don't know. That whole thing, all of it felt like there were all of these big moments that were happening so close together.
And off screen. It felt like so much was happening off screen, which is why I think
so much
also
going on off screen.
Grey Wing was bothering me as a protagonist because he's so reluctant. He's so like wishy-washy. He doesn't go and do anything. It feels like the plot is just happening around this man, and we're only getting the things that that are important to him, which is fucking and family.
He just really likes pretty girls.
He does. But yes, so Storm gets pregnant. She ends up leaving because she's like, Clear Sky, I don't like what you're doing. This is bad. You can't treat people like this. I don't want you raising my kids. So she leaves.
And this is the I do want to just say real quick.
This is what bothers me is Grey Wing says, come with me and we'll make sure that they're raised well and like we'll take care of you guys because, you know, it's not like it's like getting to be winter.
Yeah.
He's like, we'll keep your family, like we'll keep your kids safe.
She has 2 full chances to just be like, yeah, okay, I'll come and move in with you guys. Like, I don't understand
He doesn't even say it has to be permanent. He's just like, just come, like, have your kids with us so that they can be born safely. We have, like, folks who can do medicine. She's like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, girl.
I don't know what it was like. She decided suddenly that she needed to be independent from the men in her life, but like at the wrong time.
Yes, exactly. So it does not end well for her because the house that she is, like the abandoned building that she has her kits in, ends up getting demolished, and she tries to protect them, even though Grey Wing has stopped by before, and Grey Wing comes as it is all happening, and he is trying to get her out. He is trying to save her, and she does not follow him, and she gets crushed and dies. And only one of her kids survives. That is Thunder. Thunder is a little orange bab.
Where did the orange come from?
She's been fucking
in the lineage, because there's certainly ain't any orange cats involved in this family.
No, there is not.
Whose child is that?
It's divine intervention because his name is Thunder.
Right. He's sent from StarClan.
We have to have orange cats leading ThunderClan Scout.
If there's not an orange cat leading ThunderClan, this is why Bramble Claw runs into so many problems later in the series, because he's not orange.
But yes, so he rescues Thunder. He names Thunder too, and then he's
actually his
ex-girlfriend names Thunder.
His friend who has been in love with him this whole time, and he never puts it together.
No, he's so stupid.
Grey Wing has never been stupider than when interacting with Turtletail. Shout out to my girl Turtletail.
It's so funny that Storm was even like, when Turtletail was like, I'm not going to tell you where I've been. She's like, what the fuck's going on there? And he's like, it's too complicated to explain. And it's like, no, it's not. You've been blowing off the girl who's had a crush on you her whole life. And she's gone and like found somewhere else to hang out. And now you care. And she's like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. So I want to give her credit where credit's due. She's the one who leads Grey Wing to the site, goes out of her way to like try and help her ex-crush's crush when she is in peril, and then also names the child Thunder, which is going to become very important.
It's going to be very critical. So Grey Wing takes Thunder to his dad. He's like, I should take this cat, but everyone's like, no, he should be with his dad. He's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. He should be with his dad. So he takes him to Clear Sky, and Clear Sky says, I want nothing to do with this child.
Clear Sky really said, fuck this kid.
Fuck them kids, he said. He said, I failed their mother, so I shouldn't even be a father to him. And Grey Wing's like, this is your son, dude.
This is so stupid.
So anyway, Clear Sky rejects his son. Grey Wing says, well, you're my son now, I guess, and takes him back. And that's kind of, other than the fact that, you know, Grey Wing gets attacked by Fox and kills him. Fox is one of Clear Sky's, like, very important muscle guys, protects his borders.
Clear Sky just gets a bunch of bodyguards and bouncers.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. Bouncer, that's the exact term.
Like, they're bouncers, and why are they so...
They're so aggressive.
They could just be like, yo, step away. But they're like, you want to fucking go? Dude?
They're ready to throw down at any time.
Fox was about to kill Grey Wing.
Yeah. And Grey Wing was like, I gotta defend myself, bro. And then everyone's like, why the fuck did you kill Fox? He's like, I didn't mean to. He started it.
He started it. And he also, like, he literally couldn't see. He's like, my own blood was in my eyes. I couldn't see what I was doing.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's so wild. I just don't. Did you read the little, like, couple of chapters at the back that are about Fox and Petal?
About Fox and Petal, I did.
Tell me your thoughts about that.
I barely read them.
Yeah, I had like no feeling.
I was like, oh, your mom died by a badger attack. I'm so sorry. That must have really sucked. I don't care anything else you have to say here.
It was, yeah. It was kind of... The only thing I liked hearing a little bit was there was a little bit about, I think Dappled Pelt is still with Tall Shadows people, but there was another...
Yeah, Dappled Pelt is still with Grey Wing, because she was like, I went to go help Jagged Peak, and Clear Sky did not want to let me leave, and that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, and Clear Sky also didn't let her, like, leave the camp. Yeah. For those, whatever it was. She was there for like 8 weeks. He said she was there for 2 moons.
Yeah, that's fucking wild. Again, the timing, I just don't know. I just don't understand what the time frame is going on.
Yeah, I don't know what the time frame is. But there's another cat in there that talks about that talks about Fluttering Bird dying. And I liked seeing a little bit more of her. I think it's what are the names?
Oh, the feather girl.
Falling feather. Yeah.
Oh, God. It's gonna get so much easier when they're back to like actual warrior names. Like I know these are basically warrior names, but when the names are separated like this, it's so hard for me to remember.
It's a lot harder to remember. And like Rainswept Flower is too long.
Oh my God, right? Jackdaw's Cry.
Jackdaw's Cry is so much.
And Hawk Swoop. I always got those two confused.
I truly could not tell you. And usually I'm really like on top of, we talked at the beginning about like
the obsession with the allegiances. I could not keep any of these cats straight.
I did not know a single one of what these people looked like. There was too much happening.
There was too many like cats with similar names. We had Moonshadow.
Why did we have Moonshadow and Tall Shadow? Why?
That I just, you know,
the
only reason I remembered Moonshadow is because he's such a fucking loser.
He's such a loser.
We will get into. But yeah, I mean,
I kept getting Moonshadow and Cloud Spots mixed up because they're both Black Toms.
Yeah, they're both Black Toms. Oh, yeah. So I think overall we can say this book was a little bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But I am interested to see where it goes. You know, it's setting up a lot of new stuff. I think before we talk about the errands, we should talk about, we've talked a little bit about it already, but time.
Yeah. So would you like to talk a little bit about the prologue of this book?
Oh my God. Okay. So first of all, for those of you who perhaps have read the first series and the second series and the third series, you know that we start off in the forest in the first series, and then the second series, the forest is going to be destroyed, blah, blah, blah. They have to move. It takes them a whole goddamn 6 books to get to their new home. Now, which is past where we start off in this book. It takes them 6 books to go from the forest, past the mountains, to the lake. This book...
Now, admittedly, in the second series, though, it is like the first 3 books are them going and meeting Midnight, meeting the Badger, fair. And then going back. So that's like at least 2 books.
Yeah, and so I guess they did have a lot more cats, but it is
had a lot more cats, and also there's like the whole last book of that series is just them working out territories and stuff. Yeah. But still,
it still drives me crazy that it took them not even a whole book to get from the mountains to the forest, but like 5 or 10 chapters.
Yeah, like half of the book.
Not even, like a third of the book, maybe. That fucked me up.
Yeah.
You mentioned the time period.
What the fuck time period is this?
I wish I knew. Like, I don't know how long the clans are supposed to have been in...
I know, but I'm thinking, like, because in my head, I'm like, you know, it's not medieval times, I guess. But,
no,
but
I don't think it would have been medieval times.
It wouldn't have been that far back. But, like, maybe it's the 60s or 70s?
So, like, here's the thing. So I have my very fun little Secrets of the Clans guide, which has a history of the clans.
Tell me everything.
Well, I can't tell you everything because I think it's going to spoil a lot of what happens in this series.
Okay. Tell me a little bit.
But like it does not like give any indication that there were even like two legs there. It's like a wild forest. The forest was a wilderness untamed by territories. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, because like,
which, like,
spoilers.
again, this book that I'm looking at is like written in fucking.
It's written significantly before
2007. Yeah, like forever ago.
But yeah, because specifically, like, spoilers for like later in the series, SkyClan ended up having to leave the forest at the time that it left the forest because they were building the two-leg place.
Oh,
but there's a two-leg place here.
That's right.
So it has to be a different neighborhood, I guess. And like the neighborhood was expanding.
Yeah, but it's weird because again,
it just
Dawn of the Clans is about how the clans came to be. They don't have the clans set up yet. The clans are, if you don't know already, Thunder Clan, River Clan, Shadow Clan, Wind Clan, and as we found out several years after the first series, Sky Clan, which was kind of ostracized. And this is about like how those clans came to be, et cetera, et cetera. So we are meeting the cats who found these clans. But I mean, I've got a pretty damn good feeling I know who's going to be the leader of SkyClan, and I'm pretty sure they're living in the forest right now.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how the inconsistencies with the timeline match up.
Yeah.
Also, inconsistencies in the timeline. The entire book series is predicated on a time paradox. According to this, according to the prologue of this book, the entire series is based on a time paradox, which is not something I thought I would ever say about the Warrior Cat series. I never thought I would be like, yeah, well, there's a time paradox that's like the whole reason any of this exists.
You know what really pisses me off about the time paradox, though? Is that it is sending a cat from the future back into the past to get cats to move away from the lake and into the mountains, and then away from the mountains and into the forest, and then away from the forest, past the mountains, into back to the fucking lake.
It's cyclical. It drives me nuts.
Why are they doing this?
Anyway,
why? Oh my god!
I truly was not expecting a time paradox.
Just
be
the
like
whole
the start of this series. Which, like, here's the thing: if you had never read, what was it? Vision of Stars, Omen of the Stars,
Power of Three.
Power of Three. If you had never read Power of Three, you wouldn't realize that it's a time paradox that predicates the whole thing. If you were starting the way we're starting, you would not realize that that's what's happening.
No,
you'd just be like, some weird ancestor gave this cat a vision, and you'd be like, okay, that's cool. And then you find out years and years later that, holy shit, this whole thing was a time paradox of this blind mystic going back in time with a magic stick.
Motherfucker, this grumpy piece of shit cat.
Oh my god,
and
it's so wild.
And his weird Sphinx cat, guide. Oh.
Anyway, this whole series is so fucking wild. Like, you know, there's all this religious bullshit that's happening in the main books. We haven't really gotten a lot of religious bullshit yet.
Which is surprisingly absent. Yeah, surprisingly absent in this book.
Not a lot of religious bullshit yet, but there will be, I'm sure.
Where I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about it eventually.
But, you know, there's always... in these books, there has always been mysticism and magic and things like that. Like, not as a forefront sort of thing, but kind of like as an undercurrent of magic. But now it's just like, okay, well, the whole thing is magic, and that just takes you out of it.
The thing that is so funny to me is like you read the first series and it's like sometimes they have visions from their
which is
ancestors.
That's reasonable.
It's like that's reasonable, yeah. And then by the time you get deep into it, it's like
some of these cats have literal 9 lives.
Some of these cats, but I mean that is in the first. That's right, in the first series.
Like, you go from visions to they have like actually 9 lives. It's not just
wow, that's really just 9 lives. And then in the second one, it's like, is there ESP? can these two cats talk to each other in their brains from over significant periods? Because Squirrelflight and Leafpool could just do that.
That is so true. They do have twin telepathy.
They've got twin telepathy, and then
we
later,
continue and they just have like fucking superpowers.
Then we've got the cat that can't die, and we've got the fucking cat that can see really far, and the cat that can walk, that can like dream walk.
Yeah, it's like, so wild. Like,
and
the
then everybody starts going into hell. People enter the underworld.
Yeah, the amount of magic bullshit just keeps ramping up with every series.
And
soon
it's
enough,
so funny.
I'm imagining, like by the time we get to stuff that is currently releasing, I'm sure we're gonna get fucking like cats piloting mechs and some shit because it is just getting that wild.
It's also so funny that the cats like fucking Jay. This is very far down the line. Clearly, we just have a lot to say about the whole series, and so we're just like, I want to talk about everybody. But Jay Feather fucking has agriculture.
Yeah.
No,
in this book, they fucking like set a limb.
Yes, they do set a limb. I was like, what are they doing? They're cats.
They give a cat a cast, which like I think this is just a thing because like in the earlier series when we were reading, it was very much like, oh well, we'll just chew up these herbs and put them on there and like hope for the best.
Yeah.
But like now they're like, well, we have more and more drama and we have to make the cats do surgery. Like
we have to make the cats have to do surgery.
Open heart surgery.
I can't wait for a cat to be a brain surgeon. To be doing it. Yeah, to be a brain surgeon.
I don't think I can say much more about this book. I think we
got to the point where we're done with this book and we're like, can you believe these fucking cats?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you would like to move on to the Erin Corner.
I would love to hear you talk about the Erin Corner. I'm very excited for this.
The Erin Corner is my little special spot where I'm going to talk about each episode which Erin wrote which book. Now, dear listener, you might be thinking, what are you talking about? It's Erin Hunter, right? No, wrong. Erin Hunter is actually something like
7 women?
7 women? Yeah, there's a significant number of different people who write under the pseudonym Erin Hunter, which, fun fact, was chosen because it would be put on the bookshelves near Brian Jacques.
Oh my god, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So they chose Erin Hunter so it would be filed near Brian Jacques in the library and bookstores.
Damn, it worked on me.
Yeah, they fucking got you. And so I want to keep a tally of which woman is writing which book to see what kind of themes there might be that sort of play through their specific books. This one was written by Cherith Baldry, who is one of our main Erins. It seems as though Cherith Baldry and Kate Carey are the ones that write the bulk of the main series.
I think Kate was the one I met.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to go more in depth on this in another episode once I refresh my memory, but I believe that it's something like there's one maybe named Vivian, who was sort of the one that came up with the idea, but was like, but I don't write fantasy books. So can you guys write the books?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, I guess I'll write the books. So Cherith Baldry wrote this one, and I was looking at a list of all of the ones that she's written, and it's very interesting to see. She wrote for the first series. She wrote books 4, 5, and 6.
So she's responsible for my childhood trauma.
Yeah. So I think that there's some interesting kind of parallels in here. I think that she wrote, Outcast, Long Shadows, and Sunrise for series 3. None of this really means anything to anybody at this point, but I'm seeing a trend. She writes a lot of the death-heavy ones.
She does. She also seems to have a particular fondness for SkyClan.
Hey, you're right, because she is actually the one who wrote Firestar's Quest, which means she at least originated the first story of SkyClan.
Yeah, and she got to give a lot of the details, I imagine. I don't know what their we'll have to look into this. I don't know what their writing process is. I know they have something akin to a writer's Bible, but as you'll find out as we continue, there's not a lot of consistency. No, there's a lot of inconsistencies. So I imagine just based on the way that several of these books are written, that they have like a basic outline, but it's pretty much do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. And I don't remember which book, but I know that Cherith Baldry has said at some point in some author talk that she wrote one of these books in 1 month.
Wow.
And they're not long, but like a month?
Yeah, woof.
And
okay,
it seems
Cherith.
like mostly it's 3 months. 3 months to write one of these books.
Yeah, they have a very frequent release schedule.
Yeah, really, really frequently release schedule. And it's interesting. I'm really curious because as we get further with this series, she does the first and second book and then the fourth book. But series 6 through 8, she's specifically writing book 1, 3, and 5. And I just think that it's interesting that it's kind of changed from sort of a smattering of whichever to, and series 2, she wrote everything but book 5, which I think might explain a lot about some of my thoughts about book 5 of that series. But we'll get there
when we get there. Yeah, exactly.
We'll get there when we get there. See you in a year.
Whenever, sometime.
Whenever. See you at some point. Anyways, Cherith Baldry also has 2 cats named Bramble and Sorrel, who are the namesakes of 2 cats, Brambleclaw and Sorreltail, that we will meet later. And I just love that fact so much.
I think
that
that's
makes
really
me
nice.
So happy. And also, shout out to Sorreltail. I fucking love Sorreltail so much. I also love Brambleclaw. He's another one of my problematic fave weird little men.
Scout loves Brambleclaw.
I don't love Brambleclaw as much as I love Brackenfur, though. Brackenfur is we can't get into it, but we got to talk about Brackenfur one day. I'm going to talk so much about Brackenfur.
I love that.
I love that man. I think that's it for the Erin Corner for this time, but watch this space. I'm going to be keeping some tabs and possibly some tallies. We'll see. I'm going to see
research.
I'm going to see how much Cherith Baldry fridges women. We're going to see.
We are going to see. All right, which means it's time for my
Give me that
little
check-in,
segment.
baby.
All right, so as we all know, I am chronically online. This is eventually I'll come up with a fun little name for this, I'm sure. But this is what I like to call the Fandom Check-in. People on the internet have a lot of opinions. I have a lot of opinions. And we're going to talk about people's opinions in general and the way that fandom seems to be engaging with certain books more than others, things like that. First of all, I would like to say that when I was Googling warrior cats on Google, one of the things that popped up was Common Sense Media, which, if you do not know what Common Sense Media is, it is kind of like a parent's guide. It says Warriors is not for young children. That is not my lived experience.
What do they say the age group is?
I think it's like older elementary schoolers to early middle schoolers. But like it's like preteens is what they're suggesting.
Yeah, and you're suggesting
I was in like 3rd grade, my man. I was like really young.
I feel like I was also very young, but I don't remember.
Now, I will say I was traumatized a little bit by some of the stuff that I read as a young child, but did that stop me? No, it fucking did not. But what I would like to say is, you can use Common Sense Media to help you decide, but really, like, you should use your own judgment when deciding whether or not you're going to have your children read a book series. I would not go back and tell myself not to read Warriors. I will say that. Like, I really enjoyed it at the age that I was. Sure, I had some nightmares, but what kid doesn't? Which, speaking of how things have changed since we were kids, I would just love to talk about how fandom has changed since we were kids. I'm not going to talk about it on a whole scale because I could write a book about that, but it is absolutely wild to me how back in the day you had to go on like seedy DeviantArt pages or like someone's homemade website forum to go and roleplay Warriors, and now there's an official Roblox game.
I cannot believe this.
It is astounding to me. Do you know how much I would have killed for something like that? Like, I would have done anything as a child for something like that. Wild to me.
That is wild.
Well, and Scout found there's this itch.io game that lets you like make a warrior clan. There's a game on the Switch called Cattails, which is very Warriors-esque.
I still really need to read Cattails. I did find out that Cattails was literally, it was a Warriors fan game before they filed the
the cease and desist. Yeah, that makes sense.
Before they just filed it off, and then they put it on.
It is very much they filed off the serial numbers on that one. It is very Warriors.
I really want to play that at some point. The unofficial itch.io game is called Warriors Clan Gen, and I love it so much.
I have not downloaded it yet. I should have done that today, but if I had, I would not have gotten anything done.
Yeah, I downloaded the new fancier version yesterday, and I just don't know where the weekend went.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's all cats now. It's all cats, baby.
All cats, baby. I did a little bit of Googling on Tumblr. Unfortunately, since this is the first book and I have not read any of them, I was trying to avoid spoilers. So I just searched for the Sun Trail. A decent amount of Warrior Cats fan art, which is just something that I think the Warriors fandom does so incredibly well, is the amount of young artists and young writers that this series churns out is astounding. So there's a ton of fan art on Tumblr and things like that. But I also found a couple of fun jokes, such as a post titled "List of Moonshadow's Loser Moments." Moonshadow is one of the cats in this book. He is a deadbeat dad. He is absolute loser.
I forgot he's a deadbeat dad. I forgot that's his thing.
He abandoned his wife and said, "No, babe, I'm gonna go." And she's like, "You're not gonna stay and help raise our kids?" He's like, "Nah, I'm leaving." He's something else. And then also, Dawn of the Clans said babies can vote. Kitten suffrage.
Kitten suffrage. They really did.
They allow the kittens, they allow the children to participate in the votes that determine the future of the entire clan, or of the entire tribe. They say, yeah, you know what? We will let this baby vote. I think that his opinion matters. And then, of course, because I am a writer and I have written a lot of Warriors fan fiction in my time, and I am obsessed with finding the stats on that sort of thing, I wanted to look at what, if any, folks are writing fic for this particular series and see kind of where that is at. So, unfortunately, the most detailed and filled repertoire of fanfics appears to be on fanfiction.net, which is a site that has not moved out of the early 2000s in terms of its search capabilities. I can't even search for Sun Trail era fics because there is a search filter to search the main characters in the fic. None of the cats past the third series are listed. So I can't even search Grey Wing. It's not a thing. I can't even search by that. But there are 27,000 Warriors fanfics on fanfiction.net. And on the vastly easier to search site, Archive of Our Own, otherwise known as AO3, there's just under 6,000 Warrior fics, which is, all things considered, I think pretty impressive for a fandom that is that old. Considering
on AO3 also,
on AO3,
which is generally, I feel like it is a
lot of an older group.
Yeah, a higher age range than.
Yeah. Oh God, I didn't even check Wattpad. I'm not going to. Oh my God, I'm not going on Wattpad.
We can't go on Wattpad right now.
But yeah, just under 6,000 fics on AO3 for Warriors in general. Dawn of the Clans specifically, so this series that we're reading, has 21 tagged fics, so that means 21 fics that are specifically tagged to be about that era, and only 2 tagged for the Sun Trail. One of them is a rewrite of the book where they are all humans instead of cats.
And of the whole book?
Yeah.
Damn!
Dedication. It's 57,000 words. I did not read it, but I did read the very short drabble of Dappled Pelt and Falling Feather as a ship, which I personally really like. And it's all about, it's a little short story of them talking about learning how to fish together. And I thought it was very cute. So yeah, only 2 fics for the Sun Trail. We'll see if that changes for Thunder Rising, which is the second book. But given that there's only 21 fics on AO3 tagged with Dawn of the Clans, I'm not feeling like there's going to be a ton, but we'll find out. So that's our fandom check-in.
Little addendum to the fandom check-in from my personal favorite part of the Warrior Cats fandom, which is the animators that make AMVs. It looks like there are a couple. There is one that is about the clan founders. That has 2.3 million views on YouTube and is to the song Centuries by Fall Out Boy.
Gang, you gotta watch some Warrior Cats AMVs. That's your homework. Just like go watch any Warrior Cats AMV. They are absolutely incredible. The amount of like self-taught animators.
Yeah, it's
wild.
really impressive. I think about so many of them all the time.
They're really good.
They're good. They're really good. Watch The Five Giants. That one goes so hard. That's my little addendum. Sorry for hijacking your bit.
Oh no, I love that. I completely had forgotten to start looking up AMVs. I'm gonna have to make sure to do that in the future. Oh god, they're so good. Well, it looks like it is time for our Warrior Cat of the Week.
Meow.
Meow.
It's time.
So I don't know how you approached your Warrior Cat of the Week, but for me, I approached it as this is the character that I most enjoyed reading of this book. Like the one that I was like, oh man, I wish there could have been more of you. Clearly, Greywing is not my Warrior Cat of the Week.
Of course, yeah.
But like the character that I was like, oh man, I wish there was more of you. Like I really like you. I don't think there was no scene that I didn't enjoy having you in, kind of thing. How did you approach it this week?
Vibes.
Just vibes. Okay.
Just vibes.
Cool.
Just vibes. Essentially the same as you, but just like the character that I felt was the one that I came out of the book feeling the highest on, I would say.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of the same thing with me. So do you want to say yours first and then I say mine? Do you want to say them at the same time? What's the vibe here? We don't know what each other's Warrior Cat of the Week is.
Yeah, I will say mine first and I will also type it at the same time in our show doc. Mine is Turtletail.
Very nice, very good. I kind of figured with the way you were talking about Turtletail, I'm like, I think Turtletail is going to be Scout's Warrior Cat of the Week. My Warrior Cat of the Week is Dappled Pelt.
Yeah!
I love Dappled Pelt.
She's great.
Our Torty queens.
Yes!
They really are just killing it in this book.
It's true. It's true.
So tell me, Scout, why is Turtletail your Warrior Cat of the Week?
Because she deserves so much better than Greywing, and she's gonna fucking get it because she really said, this guy is not picking up my hints. He is coming to me and doing the whole, hey, little story about me as a person. When I was a teenager, I had a relatively significant crush on someone, I would say, and thought that perhaps it was mutual and we would date. And then they texted me for advice about feelings that they had about another girl.
Damn, you got turtletailed.
I got turtletailed. So that's what happens to Turtletail in this book. And so I think that I just resonate deeply with that. And with her commitment to saying, fuck all y'all, I'm going to go live in this house with my cool girlfriend, Bumble, and her humans who feed me, and there's nice pillows in there.
Yeah, she loves her a pillow.
She loves her a pillow, and everybody just the soft, colorful rocks. I love the way that they describe human things in these books.
That is so funny because you're like, oh yeah, I know what that is, and they're like, oh yes, a soft, colorful rock. I'm like, a fucking pillow.
The moments when they're like, well, what if the monsters come off of the path to chase us? And I'm like, it's cars, babe. They ain't coming off the road.
They don't know who you are.
They don't know who you are. They're not trying to eat you. Anyways, Turtletail, tell me about Dappled Pelt.
God, I have a soft spot for medicine cats. Mm-hmm. I love a medicine cat. I think they are cool. I think they deserve better in the way that the stories generally treat them.
That's for sure.
But Dappled Pelt, this girl knows what is up. She knows what she is doing. She is a girl boss. She is on top of shit. As the one fic on AO3 says, she and Falling Feather definitely have the vibes going.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And she is just like, she knows exactly what everybody needs. She knows how to take care of things. She has drive. She has care for the other cats. She is just, in general, a really good cat. Like, she cares. She knows her stuff. She's smart. She is just, she's good. They're all like, yeah, Cloud Spots is good, but Dappled Pelt's better at the medicine thing. And I'm like,
even Cloud Spots is like,
yeah, even Cloud Spots is like, yeah, Dappled Pelt knows what's up. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, she does. She is a boss. And as I have found out, because I looked through my field guide earlier, she is mentioned in the field guide
I love that.
as being a significant medicine cat from the past. So spoilers there, but like, you know, she is important. And I'm like, you know what? I love this girl.
I love that for her.
I love that for her.
That's great.
Perfect lady.
I love this. I love our 2 torties just hanging out.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if it changes next week.
Yeah. I'm curious. I don't know. I'm a fear. I don't know what's going to happen in the next book. I hope that we never hear from Turtletail again. I want Turtletail to not
Just
be involved.
Safe. Yeah, I do too.
To just not be involved. I feel
Just
like she's probably going to get involved again. We'll see.
Oh God, I hope not.
Yeah.
If she ends up coming back to Greywing, I'm gonna be so pissed.
She deserves better.
She stood up for herself and she went and she did her thing, and that better stay. That better stay.
It better stay. Yeah, I think that's what I've got to say about this book.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to the next one, honestly.
Me too. Looking forward to the next one. Looking forward to doing more of this.
Yeah.
If you have any thoughts, opinions, questions, or memes to share with us, you can write us at pawsandclawspod@gmail.com. That's paws, as in what a cat has, claws, as in the part of speech, pod, as in podcast. We are also on Twitter at Paws and Claws and on Tumblr at PawsClawsPod. Listeners who are 18 years and older can come join us on Discord, which will be linked in the show notes. You can find me, that's Scout, on Twitter, regrettably, or Tumblr at HumbleGoat, and you can see the art that I do, including our podcast cover art, at scoutwilkinson.myportfolio.com. Links to my portfolio, as well as my Ko-fi page, are in the show notes.
And you can also, unfortunately, find me, Jill, on Twitter at plot_twists, or on Tumblr at antique-romantic. Our next episode will be out in 2 weeks, where we will discuss Dawn of the Clans Book 2, Thunder Rising. Read along by buying a copy of the book from your local bookstore or checking out a copy from your local library. Until then, dear listeners, may StarClan guide your paws.